Greetings, scholars. Welcome back to the ongoing and ultra exciting lecture series, Marketing Strategy. Today we will be talking about Chapter 8, Marketing Strategy for New Market Entries. Doesn't that sound exciting? I know it does. We'll start with a concept that hopefully everyone's familiar with, the product life cycle. Now, the authors here have inserted a shakeout phase, all right, which we're going to ignore. If we remember from, well, not ignore it, but I won't ask you any questions about it on an exam. How about that? We'll stick with the tried and true, the traditional and classic product life cycle of introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So if we remember from our days and principles of marketing or whatever, or another marketing course, we have the introduction phase of a product. And we know that during the introduction phase, our horizontal axis is time. And over here we've got sales and profits. But we can see that when you first introduce a new product, let's say, then, we're not going to make any money because we have a lot of money in, research and development and putting it together before we've ever sold a unit. There's been a good amount of money spent. And then we introduce the product, and we hope to see some growth in sales. Ignore this competitive turbulence area. So we have growth, and then the product typically matures, and then it declines. So let's think about a laundry detergent, right? Laundry detergent's been around for a long while, all of our lives. So if you're Tide and you developed laundry detergent, sorry, then when it first came out, because of advertising and production and all those things, we didn't make any money. And then we introduced it, and it did a good job, and people started buying it and using it. And then other people came into the market, most probably, and Tide is not brand new anymore. And so it started to mature, right? Sales kind of tapered off. And then if they'd have done nothing to it, it would have declined. But the trick in marketing is to extend it out. So if we take Tide and it's introduced and it grows and then starts to mature, how do we extend the product life cycle for that product? So we'll stay with detergent, and we'll add stain blocker to it, or the ability to wash in cold water. So it saves you from having to use hot water, saves energy and cuts down your power bill or whatever. And we extend that back out. You can stick an iPhone in here or a computer or just about anything and see how this works using this product life cycle concept, which will be in any marketing class that you take, just about some way or another. But so I won't spend too much time on it. But so if you remember, sometimes if it's not working out, you might just let it decline and just quit making it. But if not, and let's say soap is not a new product, so you have to keep doing things to it to extend that product life cycle and hopefully start it over. Not hopefully, but you'd like to start it over again. So again, in introductory period, it lacks easy availability. Okay, so we have it's out there, but it may not be everywhere. And then we have a growth period, where sales increase at a progressively faster rate. And we can see that in this growth period. We see how it really kicks up sales wise. Shakeout and maturity we're going to put together, and they're trying to make shakeout a thing, which is not, or never really did catch on. But growth rate decreases, net adoption rate holds steady, and then decline, sales rate declines. So if we're smart, we'll think ahead and try to add something to it and make it better. You know, that's why the iPhone 6, 6S, 7X, XR, you get the drift. So this is an older, as an example of an iPhone. You can see when they introduced the iPhone, they're calling it, this is going back to the, see, it's dated 16. So iPhone 6X, 6X Plus, the maturity stage, you can see we've got the 5, 5S, 6. And at the same time, in the decline stage, were the 3 and the 4S. Okay, so that's just an example of, and we see this is a time axis of sales and profit. So at the time when 6S and 6S Plus were having a rapid growth, the 3 and the 4S in the advanced, economies were having a decline in sales, right? So let's talk about the marketing mix, the 4 Ps or 3 Ps and a D in the introductory stage of the product life cycle. So we may participate in some skimming pricing where we get as much per unit as possible, right? So it might be priced higher than we actually really need it to be, but we want to skim off a bunch of top dollar sales. We're not so much worried about mass sales at that time. Penetration pricing enables the firm to strive for quick market development and lowers costs. So penetration pricing, we might sell it below what our initial cost is, so that we can make more of them, obtain some economies of scale, and get them all throughout the economy and the consumer markets as fast as possible, because we feel like people are going to love them and adopt them. And then we've got promotion expenditures, advertising, sales force, and that's a high percentage of sales for a mass market, small value product. So if we're not making a lot of margin on it, that's a high percentage of sales. If we're looking to sell a ton of low margin products like, beans. So in the introductory stage, we might entertain or deal with those. Excuse me, I'm having to quit something here that's in the way. All right, so that's kind of the marketing mix in the introductory stage. So what are the limitations of the product life cycle? Well, they don't all go through those stages in that order. All products, goods and services, but the bulk of them do. It's a good way to, typology might not be the exact right word, but it's a good framework within which to look at your products, or for marketers and companies to look at their products. So one of the drawbacks is that it's a normative approach. Now, what does that mean? Well, it presents itself as what ought to be rather than what is. So, for example, the product life cycle might work great unless there was a pandemic right during the introductory stage of the product, and it required people to visit brick and mortar locations and be hands-on, and they're not going to do that. So that would jack it up. So the PLC is a great framework for what things ought to be, how they ought to work. But, life's not perfect and change is ubiquitous. So, and the length of the different portions of the life cycle and life cycle in its entirety can be longer than the chart shows or can be shorter, depending on what the product is or the service is. You know, if it requires more education, or if it requires less education, or if it's a new to the world product, or it's an improvement on a product that exists and people are already familiar with. So, you know, there's limitations to everything, and those are some limitations for the product life cycle. So, new market entries. I just mentioned some of these, but we have new to the world products. So that's something new and it hasn't existed before. Think of the old iPod, right? Instead of listening to cassette tapes, you could have your whole library on an iPod. That's a new to the world product. New product lines. So, you know, a company buys another company and now they may add, they've got the company they buy has 10 product lines. We may want to keep 9 of those, and one of them we're not too interested in, but new additions to existing product lines. So we sell cars, or let's say we sell automobiles, and but then we decide we're going to add, let's say, battery powered cars or electric vehicles. Improvements in existing products. Think of the iPhone here. Each new version they come out has some improvement. Whether it's worth the money or not is something else. But it can be an improvement on an existing product as long as consumers think it's an improvement and value it. Repositioning. That's when a product that has been known in the consumer's minds to do one thing, and we find out it'll actually do this other thing too. So might sell it as that. And we can go back to the old Dr. Williams Bayer aspirin example for there, that they repositioned it from toothache assistance to heart attack prevention. And then cost reductions, something that previously was very expensive or premium to buy, that we reduced the cost on it, and so now it's available to a whole new and different market who may not have even spent any time thinking about it before because it was out of their range, but now it's within their range. So a pioneer. What is a pioneer? This is from the textbook that you can look up, but so a pioneer, some people will refer to interchangeably a pioneer with a first mover, somebody that's early on the scene. And the conventional wisdom, you'll hear people say that pioneers, they take the greatest risks and they experience a lot of favors, you know, but if they hang in there and they make it work, they can, you know, with risk comes reward. Oftentimes they gain the biggest reward. So the second paragraph is assumed competitive advantages inherent in being the first to enter a new product market can be sustained throughout the growth stage and in the maturity stage, resulting in strong share position and substantial returns. So if we look at it as a risk and reward function, like from a finance course you've taken, then there are a lot of failures on people who come to the market with new stuff. But if it's good, does what they say, provides the benefits that people are looking for, solves a problem that people have, there can be, as this chart says, some handsome rewards. So what kind of marketing programs might pioneer to the market incorporate? Mass market penetration and niche penetration. Now, we've talked before about the differences between those two and how oftentimes new people who bring new products or goods, services to the marketplace may tend to like a niche penetration strategy better because it avoids direct confrontations with the big boys, right? Who's looking to start a business that's going to go, yeah, we want to go nose to nose with Walmart and Target. Well, maybe you can if you have a lot of things backing you. We're going to go head to head with Amazon, right? They were earlier in the market, so it might be difficult. And a mass market penetration, maintain a commanding share of the total market for a new product. Now, that can be done, but it's more difficult than pursuing a niche penetration strategy. So a pioneer with a new product, they're going to have to think those things through, right? How much money do they have? Do they have enough money for a mass market penetration? If it has to be sold by somebody else, can they get someone to carry it where it's available widely? Those kind of situations. And we come back to skimming here. Setting a high price, limited advertising. We're looking to, if we sell one, we want to maximize what we make on that unit. We're not looking to sell 1 million. We're happy to sell 100 because we're going to set, our margins are going to be so high. And it helps us get the R&D costs back quicker, which may be a concern for us if we are either cash poor or we don't have a ton of cash left. So we might want to just price them high. We believe people still buy enough. I think of an old example. Well, I guess it's that old, but a friend of mine who was managing a golf course, and I saw in the paper or on the internet, I saw a news story that they were almost doubling their fee to play at this golf course, which was attached to a park. But anyway, so the next time I talked to him, I said, yeah, I saw you were, almost doubling your price. I said, how you think that's going to affect you? He said, well, so far we're more profitable. I said, why is that? He said, well, fewer people play, but we make more on each of those people. But with less play, we have less maintenance. So we were able to cut back on the maintenance. And with fewer players, we make more money. So you could see that calculation can work. And it ended up being a good strategy for them with respect to, profitability. A lot of the regular players weren't happy, but, they attracted new players who did like an uncluttered course and were willing to pay that money. So marketing program components for a niche penetration strategy. Obviously, logic, common sense would tell us that they have some similarities, but it's more narrowly focused, right? A high-end ice cream is going to be more narrowly focused than is the Kroger brand ice cream. So the text here suggests that the penetrator should keep its marketing efforts clearly focused on the target segment. That's kind of true for everybody. And internet and social media provide tools that can reach specific markets at relatively low cost. So if we're looking for a niche penetration strategy, and we have everybody is not going to be a consumer of this particular product. Let's say with ice cream, right? Where if we have a store brand ice cream, people from age 6 to 60 eat ice cream, and we just kind of want it everywhere, and they'll buy it. But if we have a premium ice cream, let's say that we ship, we don't have it in the stores, we ship it directly to you, and it costs more than the store brand ice cream, we could use social media and the internet to slice and dice the market up to just who we want. We could, maybe we want empty nesters with no children left at home who have, annual income of more than $250,000 and have college educations or whatever we decide. We could market just to them. No need to buy an ad on the Super Bowl because our product's not going to be appealing to those people. So it makes a niche penetration strategy easier to do today than even 10 years ago because of the way we can really focus in on who we want. So for a skimming strategy, again, we can use the internet and social media again, requires a high price, right? Because we want margins and revenues, and we're generally going to want upscale customers. Now, why is that? Well, it costs everyone, let's say it costs everyone roughly the same amount of money to live. A power bill, a water bill, a mortgage, or a rent payment, or whatever. So somebody that makes $200,000 a year versus somebody that makes $50,000 a year, they're going to have more money left over at the end, more disposable income they can buy discretionary goods with. And those are the people that you want to target with a skimming strategy, with a, let's say it's a new cleaning robot for your house that some segments of society don't even know exists, or not even interested in it at all because it's way out of their range. So we want to concentrate on people who go, I could afford one of those. I think I'll try that out. So just to bring the skimming strategy back home one more time. All right. So with that said, that concludes our talk about Chapter 8, or the high points of marketing strategy for new market entries. And I will see you back on the internet for the next chapter. Stay safe.